What is a pump and dump? Well, Leonardo DiCaprio made it famous on the movie The Wolves of Wall Street. It was a phone room where people called investors and pumped up a stock and got the price up and then dumped it to take the profits. Well, that's pretty much been closed down and policed. And so now, though, the investment markets have moved to YouTube. There's a huge audience. If we gauge the size of the audience from some of the leading YouTubers, it's somewhere in excess of 2 to 3 million people who every day or regularly go to YouTube to find the perfect buy, the stock that's going to make them rich. And as is the case, there are wolves out there who are going to take advantage of you. I discovered, in fact, I fell victim as a YouTuber to one of them, and I want to share that with you. And then I want to share my learnings on how I would now look at stocks to identify them as a pump and dump. And that's what I'm going to do in this video.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Grinkmeyer.
Okay, I'm Kerry Grinkmeyer. I'm a retired financial advisor, and I got to admit, they caught me ripe. They came to me and said, "We've got a company that we want you to promote, and we'll pay you to promote it. You interview their CEO, and we'll pay you to do that." It's a mining company in Canada. Then there was a psychedelic company also in Canada that you interview the CEOs and will promote this stock. Well, unbeknownst to me, and what I have learned in the last several days is that if you don't have a lot of money invested in a company, such as a gold mine that you picked up for $150,000, and it was a listed company that was basically bankrupt, but you picked up the entity for $150,000 or whatever, and then you created on paper a company. And then from that point, you then got YouTubers to hype the company. You could do this with any kind of craze. There's now a craze for plant foods, where, again, you can create it on paper and it looks really good. There's opportunity in biotech. Again, you can have little or no employees and no physical structure, thus very limited investment, but you can tell a good story, and you can get a YouTuber who has a good following to help you tell that story. The individual, or the one that comes to mind, was a mining company. Back in July, it had a value of or price on its stock of 22 cents, and that represented a market cap of $3 million. Well, over the next several months, from July through today, their CEO went on YouTube numerous times, being paid, the YouTube channel, and they pumped that stock up. Today it is up to $2.23. So they had a tenfold increase. So a $3 million stock became a $30 million stock. Now, as the CEO said, he and his family owned 30% of that stock. So at $3 million, they had roughly a $1 million investment opportunity. Thus, by taking the stock up to $2.23, that is now a $30 million market cap, and his 30% went from $1 million to $10 million. That's a pump. They haven't dumped it as of yet that I know. They may be trying to get it up to $4.46. I don't know. But that's how it works. And as I said, I was a victim of it. how did I become aware of this? Well, I have a Discord, bestofusinvestors.com. You'll find a link to the Discord. In the Discord, one of the members saw a video. The video was done by Cass Gaines Academy. I'll put a link to it in the description. And this gentleman who lives in California went through and explained exactly the letter that he received from a company that we will leave unnamed at this point because we don't want to be sued. And the inquiry to him to promote some stocks, mining stocks in Canada, for him. He refused to do it. He put his letter on his video, and I compared the first letter that I received, and it was word for word the same. Now, he didn't bite. And it came back, and he was offered at that point, as you'll see in the video, some astronomical sum, some 5-figure sum to do a video, and then another 5-figured sum when he did a follow-up video. He then alerted us to it and named some YouTubers who participated heavily in it. Luckily, he didn't share my name, but I want to raise my hand and say, yes, I got sucked in, but I didn't get anything like a 5-figure fee. So I want you to be aware of that. I've then done some other research, and you learn from your mistakes. And what I want to share with you now is how you can identify what could be a pump and dump and the few steps that you need to take in order to avoid this happening. And I use a research tool called Seeking Alpha to get into the financials and the structure of the companies and look for some key elements to find out if, in fact, they are a potential pump and dump. So let's go to my computer screen and go to Seeking Alpha and see if you can't see what I see now after I realized what happened. I was a victim of the wolves of Wall Street on a pump and dump. So let's take a look at it. Okay, we're at Seeking Alpha here, and we're looking at Callinex Mines. It's a Canadian company, and we can see that the 52 range has ranged from 22 cents up to $3.26. A pretty good, that's a more than a tenfold increase. Closed on Friday at $3.15. And there we see our graph. And here we have a profile of what they do, and that they own the substantial amounts of land in Canada, in Rezanock County and northwestern Brunswick. They have been in business since 2011. I happen to know that the current CEO bought the company from some 80-year-olds for a very measly sum and took over the money, or took over the mining. And what I want to do then is come down here and see a little bit. They have a market cap currently of $330 million. If the price was down around 30 cents and it's now around 30, that means that back in July that market cap was more like $3 million. Here's where I'm interested. Who owns this stock? And what I find is that 99% of the stock is either owned by the employees or by the public. Now, the public could be somebody related to the employees or somebody close to the employees. This is the number that scares me. Institutions, that is mutual funds, banks, finance companies, hedge funds, have not taken any interest in this stock, and very little in corporations. Less than, what is that, about 0.5% of the outstanding stock is actually owned in this capacity. So this tells me there is no validation of the increase in price other than public interest. And that public interest has come from, as I said in the video, actually from YouTube has created this interest. Now I want to look at the financials, and I want to look at the balance sheet. And what I'm going to find here, I'm pretty sure, is not much of any. As you can see, there are just tiny numbers here. There's no major change in the finances. They're not making any money. They don't have any earnings to speak of. Where I want to come is down here in outstanding total shares. As you can see, they haven't increased the shares of the company all that dramatically, and that's because they aren't raising capital, and thus they aren't diluting the actual shares of the owners. Now, this is 3D Systems Corporation, DDD. I bought this stock about 3 weeks ago, and as you can see, its 52 range has been from $4.65 to $35, almost a tenfold. Well, not quite a tenfold, but you can see it's had a good surge. Again, if I want to, from here in Seeking Alpha, I can look at various analysts and I can look at various news to give me some good facts and figures on the company. What I again want to look at is stability. It's a company that's been around since 1986. Obviously, it hasn't been in probably 3D printing that long, and it has 2,472 employees. Very different from the company we looked at that had no employees. Its earnings aren't growing all that fantastic, but I believe its earnings are going to grow substantially as 3D printing becomes more and more dominant in the world of manufacturing. Again, where I'm going down here, as you know, is who owns this company. This is something that makes me feel very strong. Institutions own 2/3 of this company, and that tells me they've done their due diligence. They're smarter than me, and in fact, they have blessed this company as somebody that they want to own. So I want to own it. I don't believe it's a pump and dump. Individuals and insiders 3.56%, and the general public 29%. This makes me feel very warm and fuzzy. Now what I want to do is go again, see if there's anything that looks peculiar to me in the distribution of shares. So I go to financials, then I go to balance sheet, and I page down, and I'm looking for total shares, and I see that the total shares from 2015, that's probably 111 million, have grown to 124. Not a large dilution of the values of the stock. So I look at this and say, this is the kind of stock that I want to own. I believe it has a strong future because I believe that manufacturing is moving to the United States as a result of the broken blockchain, and I think this is something I want to own. So that's how I use Seeking Alpha to give me confirmation that a stock that I have an interest in, that is in a space I want to invest in, is legitimate and is not a pump and dump. So now that you know it's there, and now that you know that what the wolf looks like, and how you can identify a actual good stock from a pump and dump, you shouldn't have any more problems or many more issues. The crazy thing about this is, though, that if you get in on the pump end of it, you can make some money. You just got to be careful that you aren't there when the dump occurs. When the owners of the stock say, okay, we've done enough, we want out, we're selling. And they start selling and it starts falling. They get their 30% out and your 70% crashes and it's worth nothing. So that's how I learned about it. I'm 76 years old. I'm a retired financial advisor. And what you just got to make sure is that if you make a decision you want to go for a penny stock, that you can validate that there are institutions, that there are hedge funds, that there are people who have more resources at their command that have determined that it is, in fact, a legitimate company, because these can just be smoke and mirrors, and you don't want to get caught in that. I believe, as a result of my Discord and my sharing with my tribe members, that I was getting out, I did no harm. And in fact, the companies that I did get involved with are all higher than what the price was when I promoted them. I won't be doing that anymore. So you folks who are involved in this kind of scheme, don't write me anymore. I get enough emails as it is. We aren't going to be doing any promotional videos of this sort anymore on bestofusinvestors.com. That's a promise, and I'll keep it.